do in us that we're living according to our plans and not according to his purpose. And so he says, stop being so busy doing you, because I got other plans for you. And as long as you're doing your thing, you're missing out. In fact, you're delaying your promise. Do you know that your purpose is a setup for your promise? Because it's not the same thing. Okay? So he's saying, as I do a work in you, that will allow me to do a work through you. Okay? So, so then I'm like, okay, Lord, I'm going with it. He says, the third thing that I need you to understand is, yes, I'm trying to change you. I'm trying to purify you. I'm trying to do a work in you and through you. And I'm trying to use you. But the third thing he showed me was that he created me to be a woman of power. We underestimate the power that we have because we think that the power comes from within us. Oh, if I meditate, let me do yoga. Let me run a few miles, or let me study. Let me study the Bible. If I study and I memorize 10 scriptures today, I'm good. It's not about how many scriptures you memorize. That doesn't give you power. It's good to know, and I'm not saying don't learn your scriptures. I'm not saying don't get involved at church, because God, this is about fellowship. That's what church is about, fellowship. Okay? So, he says, it's good to know your scriptures. It's good to learn. Because he says, study so that you can show yourselves approved. But if you don't live it, what's the point? If you don't act like you know, what's the point? If you don't use what I've given you, what's the point? Okay? So I can learn and learn and learn, and I can study. I can go to school, get a doctorate in divinity or theology, whatever it is. But if I don't live it, if I don't act like it, if others don't see it in me, what's the point? If it's not changing my situation, why am I doing it? I might as well study medicine. I might as well study, anthropology or whatever. Whatever that is. What is that? Now, so God puts the right stuff in for a purpose. And that purpose is to get the right stuff to come out. He wants to use us. When God says that he wants me to be, that he created me to be a woman of power, what he's telling me is that he's allowing me to do a work through him. So I allow him to do work in me, and I allow him to do a work through me. But being a woman of power is about him allowing me to do a work through him. And he says, you can do all things. I can do all things through him who gives me strength, right? So that means I don't do it through myself. I do it through him. That means without him, I'm nothing. I can do nothing. Everything I've accomplished in my life, and yes, she read my bio, and it's great. It's great. I mean, I've lived, I've had ups and downs just like everybody else. But I think I turned out all right. But I can't say it's because of me. Everything that I do, everything I accomplish is because of God, because of his hand on my life. And there's a reason for that. Because he wants me to do that for somebody else, to encourage somebody else, to be a blessing to somebody else, to pray for someone who doesn't even know I'm praying for them. We're so busy trying to get credit for stuff when God is the one who's doing it anyway. And so he says, I created you to be a woman of power, which means that God's changing me so that I can affect change in my environment, so that I can affect change on my sister, so that I can affect change in my situation, so that when things are not going the way I need them to go or want them to go, I can speak it into existence. I can just walk into a room and know things got to change because I'm here. And not because of me, but because of who's in me. Because he says, he that's in you is greater than your situation, than your problems, than your mama nagging you, and your husband getting on your nerves, and your bad kids that you just don't know what to do with them. He can even change that. All you got to do is pray. All you got to do is put it in God's hands, submit it to him. But we're so busy doing our own thing. And we're so busy trying to just, if I study, then I'll know how to pray for my child. If I do this, well, let me see, are they watching? Are they watching? We're so busy doing that, worrying about whatever everybody else's agenda is. That purification process, that change, is almost like the process of purifying silver. When God's trying to change us and do a work in us, and God says he created us to be women of principle, what he wants to do is do what a silversmith does to silver. There was a lady who went and talked to a silversmith and asked him, what's that purification process like? And so she asked him, to go over the process with her. And he says, well, I take raw silver and I put it to the fire. I put it over the flame and make it so that it gets really, really hot. And I watch it the whole time. I hold it over the flame and I watch it. And I watch it carefully because I have to make sure that it doesn't get too hot because then it'll get destroyed. Isn't that what God does to us? He allows us to go through and to hurt and to be disappointed and then to have victory and then to be disappointed and then accomplish something and then to be hurt and then accomplish something else and then go through something. But he's watching us the whole time because if he wasn't, we'd be dead. Okay? So he holds us over the flame because he's trying to get rid of all the impurities, just like the silversmith. He's trying to get rid of all the impurities, let all that stuff fall out. So that silver that for those of us who like to wear silver, that you wear, that's the process it has to go through. So it's beautiful like that. Okay? And so the lady asked the silversmith, so how do you know when it's ready? How do you know that it's purified silver that you can use for jewelry? So he says, that's easy. I can see my reflection in it. And that's exactly what God wants to see in us, his reflection in us. So he created us to be women of godly character. Not, oh, I'm a diva, let me strut my stuff. That's good. But strut your stuff in the glory of God. Strut God's stuff. Alright? All the hurts and everything you've been through is to build you up for your purpose. It's all been preparation. That's training for such a time as this. And it doesn't mean that you'll have fame and fortune. Because a lot of us get caught up on that prosperity stuff, financial or material prosperity. Let me clarify, because God says that he'll make us prosperous. But that doesn't necessarily mean that we're going to be driving the Benz. I like to drive the Benz, but I'd rather be happy. I'd rather have peace and joy. Okay? So, he says everything that he's put in us and everything that we allow him to do in us, he's going to use it. But he's going to use it for his glory. Your purpose will always bless God, will always give him glory. It will always make him proud. It's not necessarily going to be easy, but I bet you have more peace than doing whatever you want to do. So God says that he created us to be women of power, which means that you'll be able to speak to generational strongholds that are on your life, on your family, on your children. You'll be able to walk into a room and set the atmosphere. You'll be able to change the environment at your job. You'll be able to speak yourself into a promotion when you didn't even thought you were qualified. But you know why? Because God is the one who has the authority to qualify you, even though you may not have the degree, even though you may not know the right people, even though you may not be on somebody's list, but you're on God's list. So he has the power to do anything through you. All you have to do is submit. All you have to do is say, God, you know what? Do what you want to do in me. Use me however you want, because I trust that whatever you're going to do in me, you're going to use me for something good. Whatever it is, it's going to be something good. God is greater than your situation. He's greater than your hurt. He's greater than what that person did to you. You know that person that you look at all funny at work because she done got on your nerves a few times too many? Yeah, God's greater than that too. Okay? And because of that, we need to expect more from ourselves. We need to push ourselves harder in the right direction, and that's in submission to him. It's not about us. It's not about us. It's about God. Everything, every aspect of your life, everything you've been through and everything you come out of is all about him. But God says nothing will be impossible for you. He says nothing will be impossible for you because I'm with you. He said, I will never leave you. I will never forsake you. So, if nothing is impossible for you, then that's because he's in control. Now, everything, your past mistakes, whatever it is that you're going into, whatever it is that you come out of, God is greater than that. So, sisters, I just want to encourage you to allow God to do a work in you so that every day he can see more and more of his character in you. Because then you will gain a freedom and understanding to operate in your predestined purpose and to walk in the authority that he's given you through your relationship with him. Because without relationship with him, you will accomplish nothing.